The gods were restless. For eons, they had ruled over creation, their dominion unquestioned. They sculpted mountains, carved oceans, and waged wars among themselves for sport. But now, they hungered for something more, something beyond mere worship. They wanted heirs, not just any children, but creatures woven from both divine power and the raw magic of the earth. Beings who could walk between realms, tethered to neither heaven nor mortal soil. The answer lay in the fairies. Ancient and powerful, fairies existed in harmony with nature. They danced upon the wind, whispered to the trees, and wielded magic as effortlessly as breathing. The gods saw them as the perfect vessels, fragile enough to mold, magical enough to birth something never seen before. And so, the fairies were taken. Xyla, the mountain fairy, was the first to fall, bound in chains of molten gold. She screamed as the volcano god, a being of flame and wrath, forced his essence into her womb. Her once stony resolve crumbled, and she wept lava, her body no longer her own. Coral, the ocean fairy, was next, dragged into the abyss where the kraken waited. His tentacles coiled around her, pressing against her skin, whispering curses into her soul. When she emerged from the deep, her eyes were empty, her body carrying horrors from the trench. Thistle, the war fairy, fought with all her might. Blades of pure energy erupted from her fingertips, cutting down the celestial servants who dared to touch her. But the gods were patient. They summoned the sword phantom, a spectral entity of endless battle, and bound it to her. The moment it entered her body, her screams turned into war cries. 3 others suffered similar fates: Skyla, the storm fairy, who carried the child of a tempest lord; Morna, the death fairy, who was seeded with the blood of an underworld warden; and Leora, the light fairy, burdened with the offspring of a forgotten sun god. 6 fairies, each carrying something not meant for this world. The gods watched, waiting for their divine creations to be born. But they had underestimated the consequences. The heavens trembled the day the hybrids arrived. Xyla was the first to give birth. She clutched her stomach, fire searing through her veins, her screams echoing through the mountains. When the child emerged, she was beautiful, her skin glowed like molten rock, her eyes burned like dying embers. But the moment Xyla reached for her, the child's fingers seared through her skin, turning the flesh of her arms to blackened stone. Xyla recoiled in horror. Her daughter was untouchable. In the depths of the ocean, Coral's torment reached its peak. Her children, the twins, crawled from her, their hair writhing with living tentacles. They opened their mouths to wail, but no sound came. Instead, the water around them darkened, suffocating the life from every fish within miles. The kraken had given them his hunger, and even as infants, they sought something to strangle. On the battlefield, Thistle's labor was not of pain but of steel. Her child did not cry, did not breathe. It was not flesh and blood, but a living blade. Its surface rippled with dark energy, and the moment she touched it, the weapon spoke, not with words, but with a single, deafening battle cry that split the heavens. The other births were no less tragic. Skyla's child was a storm-given form, a swirling mass of lightning and wind. Morna's child was a wraith, hovering between life and death. Leora's was a being of pure radiance, so blinding that even the gods dared not look directly at it. The fairies stared at their children, their bodies broken, their minds unraveling. These were not infants. These were weapons, and they were already growing stronger. The gods rejoiced. Their experiment had succeeded, but they failed to realize, monsters, no matter their birth, do not enjoy being controlled. The children did not age like mortals. Days passed, then weeks, and already they stood taller than their mothers, their powers spiraling out of control. The gods, eager to test their creations, summoned them to the celestial plane. But the hybrids refused. They had no love for their divine fathers. They had seen the suffering of their mothers, heard their cries in the dead of night. They did not see gods, they saw tormentors. The first to rebel was Xyla's lava child. She raised her hands, and the mountains bled fire. The second was Coral's twin daughters, who summoned the ocean to swallow entire islands. The battle-born blade of Thistle severed the sky itself, sending shockwaves that shattered the heavens. One by one, the hybrids turned against the gods. The war was unlike anything creation had witnessed. The gods, once untouchable, found themselves hunted. The fairies, once victims, became warriors alongside their monstrous offspring. The celestial palace crumbled, divine beings perished, and the skies darkened under the weight of destruction. But then, something far worse happened. The hybrids began to lose control. Xyla's daughter melted entire landscapes with a mere breath. Coral's twins strangled anything that moved, including each other. Thistle's blade child spoke in nothing but screams, attacking without reason. Their rage was endless, their power, unstoppable. And then, the fairies understood the horror of what they had done. The gods were not the only ones who needed to be stopped. Their own children were becoming the apocalypse. The fairies stood at the edge of oblivion. They had fought for their children. They had bled for them. But now, they faced the most agonizing truth of all: if they did not stop their offspring, the world itself would fall. But how could a mother kill her child? Xyla was the first to falter. She watched as her daughter, her precious, cursed daughter, reduced an entire valley to liquid magma. The girl turned to her mother, eyes filled with sorrow. "I don't want to hurt you, Mama," she whispered. Xyla's breath hitched. The girl reached out, but Xyla flinched. Even now, her touch was death. Then, something miraculous happened. The lava child wept, and where her tears fell, they hardened, not into molten rock, but into brilliant, diamond-like crystals. For the first time, she was crying not flames, but something else. Something human. Hope. One by one, the other hybrids saw this and hesitated. The war cries quieted. The destruction slowed. Perhaps, just perhaps, they could be saved. The gods had tried to create weapons. But in the end, the fairies had birthed something far more powerful. Monsters. No, children. And if there was even the smallest chance for them to find peace, then their mothers would fight for it. Even against the gods themselves.